Are you ready to stop just memorizing tools and start building real, production-grade expertise? The roadmap is laid out perfectly right in front of you.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really reach that level of mastery, this journey requires conquering 10 distinct phases. Now, it's so tempting to sprint straight into the complex tools, we all want to do that, but avoiding the basics is a massive trap. We have to build this step by step.
Think of this agenda as our 6-month hero's journey. We'll start with the core DevOps foundation, then move into cloud and automated pipelines, follow that up with containers and Kubernetes mastery, then infrastructure, monitoring, and security, and finally, real projects and career strategy to actually land you that job.
Starting right off with Section 1, the core DevOps foundation. We absolutely have to build a resilient base before we tackle the heavy-hitting automation engines.
Phase 1 is all about Linux and networking fundamentals. Listen, Linux is the absolute backbone of DevOps, period. The roadmap heavily urges spending 2 to 4 weeks mastering file systems, permissions, bash scripting, IP addresses, DNS, load balancers, and TCP/UDP ports. If you rush ahead without this core OS knowledge, it is a guaranteed recipe for frustration later on.
To see why, imagine this classic troubleshooting scenario. The application goes down, alarms are ringing, and someone asks, "Why is the application not accessible?" At that moment, it's a total mystery. Is it a DNS issue? Is a firewall blocking traffic? Is it a load balancer misconfiguration? Well, you simply cannot solve those critical production issues without that solid networking foundation we just talked about in Phase 1.
Once you have that foundation, Phase 2 brings us to Git and version control. You want to spend about a week mastering branching strategies, pull requests, and the always fun task of resolving merge conflicts. Git is essential for collaboration. It's what allows us to safely manage and track the code that we are eventually going to automate.
And that automation begins in Section 2, Cloud and Automated Pipelines. This is the phase where manual repetitive work basically goes to die.
Phase 3 drops us into cloud basics, specifically focusing on AWS. Here, you need to spend 4 to 6 weeks mastering core concepts. We're talking compute with EC2, storage with S3, networking with VPCs, locking things down with IAM security, and keeping an eye on it all with CloudWatch. Actually getting your hands dirty and deploying, say, an Nginx website on an EC2 instance, that provides the crucial plumbing for absolutely everything else we're going to do.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast it shows, which highlights the entire why behind Phase 4, CI/CD. Manual deployment is slow, it causes mistakes, and it makes rollbacks a total nightmare. Continuous integration and continuous deployment swoop in and solve those massive headaches by creating automated, highly consistent pipelines for rapid, stress-free releases.
All right, moving to the climax of the roadmap, Section 3, Containers and Kubernetes Mastery. Now we are tackling the real heavy hitters of modern infrastructure.
Phase 5 introduces containers, specifically Docker. Docker's main job is to standardize environments. It packages an application up with all of its dependencies so that it runs identically everywhere. By mastering Docker, you effectively eliminate that infamous, incredibly frustrating, "well, it works on my machine" problem that developers constantly run into. Then we hit Phase 6, Kubernetes. This is a very important skill, and the roadmap budgets 4 to 8 weeks for a serious deep dive here. You'll learn about pods, deployments, services, and auto-scaling. But honestly, the real magic you're learning here is rapid troubleshooting. You need to know exactly which commands to run to figure out why a pod is crashing or why an image just won't pull. Next up is Section 4, Infrastructure, Monitoring, and Security. This is where we shift our focus to scaling and securing those robust environments we just built. Phase 7 introduces infrastructure as code using Terraform, and wow, is this a massive value driver. Instead of manually clicking around a cloud console and just hoping you didn't miss a configuration setting, you are writing code to automate the creation of EC2 instances, VPCs, and security groups. You are literally building data centers with code. It is incredibly powerful, which is exactly why it's one of the highest paying skills in the market.
Now, a modern system is never actually finished until it is secure and observable, so phases 8 and 9 cover monitoring and DevSecOps. You'll use Prometheus for metrics, Grafana to visualize those metrics, the ELK stack for logging, and tools like SonarQube for security scanning. Because let's face it, blind deployment almost always leads to catastrophic invisible failures. You have to know what's happening inside your systems.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact ecosystem you need to master. Just looking across the board. Linux for the operating system, Git for source code management, Jenkins or GitHub Actions for CI/CD pipelines, AWS for the cloud, Docker for containers, Kubernetes for orchestration, and Terraform for your infrastructure as code. That is your definitive toolkit.
Bringing us to our final resolution, Section 5, Real Projects and Career Strategy. This is where we polish all those tools with the ultimate differentiator, real-world experience.
Phase 10 is where it all comes together in a complete production-grade setup. Just picture this flow. A user request comes in, hits your load balancer, routes seamlessly into a Kubernetes cluster that's running your specific microservices, and the entire thing is backed by comprehensive monitoring and logging. Let me tell you, being able to architect and confidently explain this exact flow is what will completely crush your job interviews.
Now, I know a 10-phase roadmap sounds incredibly intimidating right off the bat, but look at how realistic this 6-month attack plan is. Month 1 is just your fundamentals. Month 2 is cloud basics. Then you move logically through CI/CD, containers, and infrastructure, which leaves month 6 entirely open for real projects and interview prep. When you break it down like this, it is a completely manageable journey.
But I have to give you a little tough love here. Do not fall into these common beginner traps. It is so tempting to just collect certificates without understanding the why behind a tool. Don't avoid Linux. Again, it's the backbone. Don't try to just memorize commands instead of understanding the underlying architecture. And whatever you do, do not skip building real-world projects.
Just read this quote. It says it all. There is a massive, massive difference between sitting back and saying, "Oh, I completed a Docker course," versus confidently stating, "I deployed a production-grade application using Docker, Jenkins, Terraform, and Kubernetes." Building real expertise comes from the actual execution of integrated projects. It does not come from passive watching.
So I'll leave you with this provocative challenge. Are you ready to stop just memorizing tools and start building real, production-grade expertise? The roadmap is laid out perfectly right in front of you.
Hi everyone, I'm Sachin Kumar from CloudBridge Tech Labs. Before we get started, if you find this content valuable, please go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Alright, welcome to this explainer. Today we are unpacking something highly anticipated, the definitive roadmap for exactly how you master DevOps in 2026. Let's jump right into the source material and figure it out.
So, before we start obsessing over all the shiny new tools, we really need to understand the end goal here. A DevOps engineer is a critical resource who automates deployments, builds CI/CD pipelines, manages cloud infrastructure, and troubleshoots production issues. Ultimately, the role is about reducing manual work and fundamentally improving reliability, scalability, and developer productivity. It's not just about collecting tools, it's about making the whole system better.
Embrace the foundation, take action on Phase 1 today, and start your 6-month journey to DevOps mastery. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I will see you all in the next one.